Hi, this is the pre-K kindergarten lesson for this Sunday, October 20th. We are using the Joyful Path curriculum for the little ones this week. And this is about self-control. And it says, I am in charge of my body and in charge of myself. There are, of course, the initial page here kind of goes over a little bit of teacher instruction for you. And then there's 2 Bible verses quoted here. And they also talk about the fruits of the Spirit, right? So the Galatians quote from chapter 5, verse 22 through 23. By contrast, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Now, we sing this song every year at Camp Community, so it might be something the kids are very familiar with and can talk about or can sing along to, which might be fun. And then there's some reflection questions down here that I think would be good for the kiddos that are things like, what choice, hang on. Oh, think about a time when you used your self-control to express your higher self. Now for the little kids, I might word that differently. You know, when is the time you used your self-control and that made you feel good or made you feel proud of yourself, things like that. These are kind of higher concepts to talk about, but important for the little ones to understand. And certainly something they hear from their parents and teachers, I'm sure. And so there's a story, and I have made several copies of the story. It's called Tim and John, so it begins on this page and finishes over here. And sometimes they like to hold on to individual papers and read along or follow along, even though they're not necessarily readers at this point. So you'll read the story Tim and John, some of the discussion questions, and this is about self-control and one brother who demonstrates it. Do you think that Tim really scared the bear away? What do you think made the bear go away without hurting John? What do you think was the hardest thing for John to do? And if you had been in John's place, what would you do? So it's very much about their experience of the story and how they might, what they might do instead. So I think that's always a good line of questioning. The activities, there are 2 of them. The first one is called Aiming for the Center game. And this is about showing them the difference. Like there's like a hula hoop in the room and they'll take paper and crumble it up for their balls. I think they'll enjoy that tactile process. And then they throw the paper ball on the target 2 ways. One way is when they're turned away from it, or the target is behind them essentially, and they're throwing it over their head. And then the second is when they're in front of it and they're throwing it at the target. And it's a metaphor essentially, right? For you want to keep your emotions in front of you, so you see where you're going, you see the outcome, or you can see like what's important to you, as opposed to just flying blindly with anger or frustration or other very normal emotions, but what's the appropriate way to deal with them. So that's just something that might be a little over their head, but I think they'll enjoy doing it. So there's that. Then there's the bear craft activity. So I have about 5 copies of this bear, okay? And that's from the story that they'll be reading. And they can use the inside the bear to either write in words or draw in pictures things of emotions that make them want to act out. When you're angry, when you're frustrated, when you're sad, when you're upset, when there are things that make you not want to be in self-control, you can put all those in the bear. And then on the outside of the bear, they can represent things that help us stay calm and be in control of our bodies. They talk about deep breathing and taking a few minutes away. Let me see what some of the other examples were. I mean, it's a really kind of great little plug for yoga here. And then there's a final part of the lesson that I was like, what did they talk about? Oh, maybe it's over here. Shoot, I can't find it now. Well, anyway, I'll let you read through it and you can decide on how they can use that bear thing. And so outside is like calming things. It could be pictures of calming things, a flower, the ocean, the sunshine, something like that. And then pictures of frustrating things like an owie, someone yelling at you, things like that. So there's any number of ways they could do that without being able to write words, hopefully. So let me know if you have any questions. The materials for all of these will be in the classroom in the sanctuary building at 10 o'clock, ready to go. Thank you.